The missing two episodes of The Ice Warriors might not be too high on many people's lists of most wanted missing episode returns. But their recovery might help solve a trio of very small but intriguing mysteries, ones where I'm not even sure what the answer might be. Throughout 1960s Doctor Who, a number of stories used specially designed secondary title sequences, including The War Machines, The 10th Planet, The Seeds of Death, and of course, The Ice Warriors. And it's the sequence for the second episode of The Ice Warriors that gives us our first little mystery. The episode title sequence for this story is a series of photo captions of icy landscapes which were captured on film. This film was then played in at the start of each episode recording, with the captions being overlaid live in the studio. A longer version was used on the first episode and uses a piece of music composed by Dudley Simpson called Ice Music, featuring soprano Joanne Brown. Different music was used on the subsequent episodes, and this is where our mystery starts to form. While the same 35-second piece is played on episodes 3 to 6, a similar but shorter version is used on episode 2, fading out much sooner than the music cue used on later episodes. If we look at the camera script for the first episode, it clearly indicates where the story title film sequence would be played in and when the captions would be overlaid. We can see the same in the scripts for episodes 3, 4, 5, and 6. But what about episode 2? The camera script for episode 2 indicates that the secondary title sequence was handled differently. Instead of the film sequence, 3 photo captions appear to have been used instead. The 3 images were given shot numbers and allocated to studio cameras. This, along with the use of a shorter musical cue, suggests that the opening to episode 2 was different for the others, recorded as live in the studio and not utilising the film. We do have 2 telesnaps from this sequence for episode 2, but they don't help to prove or disprove the theory. We have snaps for the story title and the episode number, and the background does align with how they look on other episodes. But if they did use static photo captions, these may well have been the images that they selected. This is not a mystery we can easily solve, but there is definitely something different about the start of episode 2. The second little mystery occurs immediately after the first, and perhaps they are connected. But first, a quick bit of Ice Warrior history. The first time the new monsters went before the cameras was part of the Ealing pre-filming for this story. This included shots of Varga enclosed in the glacier, Chirok chasing Victoria in episode 4, and some close-ups of Varga as he revives at the end of episode 1 and at the start of episode 2. In these sequences, we can see the original design of the Ice Warriors. After filming at Ealing was completed, a decision was taken to redesign and modify the Ice Warrior costumes, making them easier for the actors inside. The result was 2 new costumes for the lead Ice Warriors, Varga and Zondal, while the original costumes were modified for the background Ice Warriors. In episode 1, we only clearly see Varga in the film sequences, and we can clearly see the original Ice Warrior costume. It is likely down to time and money as why these film sequences were not remounted. In the studio sequences for episode 1, it is carefully shot and angled so we don't get a clear shot of the Ice Warrior costume. This removes the potential of a continuity error between the studio scenes and film sequences. But what happens in the missing episode 2? The camera script has just 1 film sequence in this episode, and this is featuring Varga at the very start of the episode as he awakens, straight after the secondary title sequence. This piece of film would almost certainly have shown the original Ice Warrior design. We would then have cut to the studio where we are meant to see Varga rising from the table as Jamie and Victoria watch. Does this mean that in the broadcast episode we have Varga changing shape and size suddenly in the middle of a scene? The script, if it was recorded as planned, suggests that did happen. But the telesnaps once again muddy the water, and it's down to either badly timed or perfectly timed snap by John Cura, depending on your point of view. In this telesnap from the first scene, we have caught the episode mid-cut between two shots, so we get to see close-ups of both Jamie and Victoria at the same time. So how does this muddy the water? In the camera script for this scene, there were no planned close-ups. It was going to open with a two-shot of Jamie and Victoria and panned to see Varga rising from the trolley. This would have been followed by a wider three-shot as Jamie tries to fight Varga off and Victoria faints. The two close-ups would appear to be Jamie and Victoria reacting to Varga's revival. Is it possible that these new unplanned shots were added at the last moment to cover the removal of the film sequence? The script contains further evidence of a change of plan. Before Jamie and Victoria become aware of Varga's revival, they each were meant to have a line of dialogue. Both of these lines are absent in the final episode. There is yet another element which makes things confusing, and that is something that is in the soundtrack. After the music for the secondary title sequence fades out, we get a brief excerpt of wind sound. Was this sound covering the end of the title sequence or the opening shot of the episode? Does the use of an icy wind sound suggest the inclusion of the film sequence? For our third mystery, let's go back to the Ice Warrior redesign. Specifically, the background non-speaking Ice Warriors Isbor, Rintan and Churok. Isbor and Rintan appear throughout episodes 3 to 6 and can be seen very clearly in the studio sequences for those episodes. Churok only appears in episodes 3 and 4 as he is killed by falling ice while trying to capture Victoria. Episode 3 is missing, so we're going to come back to that. In episode 4, there is only one scripted sequence where Churok was apparently in the studio, where Varga orders him to fetch Victoria back inside the spaceship. But looking at the scenes in question, we can only see two of the background Ice Warriors. This would suggest that the character of Churok, and therefore actor Sonny Caldenez, were not in the studio for the recording of episode 4. But what about episode 3? This episode features scenes of Varga's Ice Warriors being revived. Surely this would mean that all 5 warriors were visible in this episode. Let's start with the camera script and the scenes where the Ice Warriors appear. These are scenes 1, 4, 6, 12, and 15. In scene 1, the only warriors described are Varga and Zondal as the latter revives. Scene 4 was written to feature all 5 Ice Warriors. Multiple warriors are mentioned in scene 6, but only Varga and Zondal are given clear stage directions. Scenes 12 and 15, as scripted, feature only Varga and Zondal. This means that the Ice Warrior Churok is only scripted to appear in scenes 4 and 6. Now we've narrowed this down, let's look at the telesnaps for those scenes. There are 4 telesnaps covering scene 4. These include shot 46 featuring Victoria, shot 48, a medium shot of Varga panning to show the assembled warriors, a shot of Varga addressing Victoria, which is somewhere between shots 49 and 58, and finally shot 65 as the warriors blast the ice face. While 3 of these snaps show the background Ice Warriors, we never see more than 2 at the same time. Let's skip to scene 6. There is only one telesnap featuring the background Ice Warriors, and here only one of them is visible. The visual clues point towards there being only 2 background Ice Warriors in the studio scenes for episode 3, the same that we see in episode 4. So, if this is the case, why might they have done it in this way? As previously mentioned, the background Ice Warrior costumes were modified late in the day. As the warrior Churok was only due to appear in a handful of studio scenes in episodes 3 and 4, did they decide to save time and money by not modifying a third costume and shooting around the lack of a 5th Ice Warrior in the studio? As with the other little mysteries presented here, we will only know for certain should the missing episodes ever turn up.